You're listening to the Get Peeled podcast, a space for life enthusiasts to get inspired, learn through others about fitness, business, relationships, and life itself. I'm your host, Hannah Eden, a fitness entrepreneur that has an obsession with sweating and a burning desire to share and inspire others with the lessons I've learned through fitness. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Get Peeled podcast. I'm here, Hannah Eden, your host, with Paolo and our very special guest today.
What's going on?
The quad guy. Julian Smith. Julian Michael Smith.
Yep.
That's your full name, right? We always try and give like an intro, so let's see what I got here.
Cool.
Julian Smith is quite an OG and a pioneer within the Instagram space. Him and I met through bodybuilder.com.
Yeah.
Back in 2000 and...
It was just like, I'd say, 3 years ago? I was only with bodybuilding.com for 1 year, but you were the cool one because you got...
not that cool.
You were cool because you were paid to be there. You were the famous person. I was just like a sponsored athlete.
What do you mean? No way.
I'm like, is that Hannah? And I see that red hair.
I
She's
had
here.
a really cool opportunity, actually, and I feel like my experience at bodybuilding.com got escalated really quickly, which I'm so grateful for because... Man, we can go into that in more detail, but bodybuilding was like, if you had the opportunity to work with them, it was like, whoa.
It was a cool experience.
Right?
Fun.
But Instagram pioneer, millions of people follow this guy from all around the world, has the most insane development of quadriceps, that's for sure. He's got great leg muscles, insane development bodybuilder, classic, right? Trying to still do all the traditional bodybuilding.
Yep, that's the goal.
Too.
Thank
That's
you, bro.
right.
I've done that.
Paolo comes home bitching about it. Every time he's ever done it, he doesn't shut the fuck up because he's in,
I'm glad he's here.
good days, right?
No,
Hitting calves
it's
after
the
this.
real thing, man.
He's like, awesome calves after this.
I remember coming home.
Yeah.
I remember one day coming home after and biceps and tricep workout, and I'm like, "Hey, Han," and she goes, "What?" I'm like, "I just did Julian's program." She goes, "How was it?" I'm like, "I understand where the size comes from." She goes, "Why?" I'm like, "I don't think I could finish the program. I hit 90 minutes in the gym, and I was still fucking."
Is that the one you tagged me in?
Yeah, I think
and you were
so.
like, "Shut the fuck away from me. Shut the fucking phone up."
Stop being such
That
a
was
little
insane.
bitch.
It was insane. Good shit.
Turns out, if you want to be big, you got to lift a lot, right?
You got to lift a lot. You just got to. So this is one of the misconceptions, right? Like people trying to come up with all these ideas about how to grow. I think that number one, do more of it.
Yeah.
Stop with that.
Yep.
Do more of it and see what happens.
I think we were chatting the other day, and one guy, I forgot the name of the dude. We'll have to get it for this podcast, but he was talking about how if you find an exercise that you like, do 20 reps on it and pump yourself up. And he's like, and if you see you pumping up in the area that you like, he's like, do a lot of that over and over. He goes, because that's just going to fill up that area. You know what I mean? So upper chest, if you feel something really work well and then it gets pumped up, he's like, do a lot of that.
Do more.
Just keep doing more. I like it. So it's been a few years since we've seen each other, right? I feel like we have traveled around.
I was going to say probably the last time I saw you was Body Power.
Yeah.
Body Power. Yep.
In England, Birmingham. That's right.
For an event, for sure. Because we chat all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, I see you guys online all the time, so it feels like I must have seen you recently, but it really was... And it wasn't the most recent Body Power, right? Because I think it was the first one with bodybuilding.
2018, 2017 or
because the following one we went on our own for Clifford.
There you go.
So it had to just been that one.
So I'm to that point. We've known each other, seen each other, passed by each other a lot, sat down for team dinners, but really only on a surface level, right? So I'm excited today to be able to sit down in your beautiful facility and to get to know you better.
Cool.
Every time we sit down and talk with anyone that we bring onto the podcast, we try and touch on 3 areas, right? No structure, just conversation.
Cool.
Business, personal, and relationships.
Sick.
So let's start with business.
Yes, do it.
Obviously, there is so much to talk about, but anything exciting going on right now, let us know kind of what your business entails. I'm sure that my audience would be so excited to listen and then come over and see your world too.
Yeah. So right now, I mean, I've kind of been doing the same thing for a while. It's just been making all those things better. So we've had the Daily Pump since day one. That's the membership site that we started. Recently got with Playbook, and that's where we're doing our app and our platform and everything with. Started a new Facebook group, just building out and making that better. I think when you just have putting out a plan or putting out just the membership site, there was no way for people to communicate with us very well. So what we would do is DM us, email us, whatever, but then people would get lost. Mm-hmm. People would actually write on posts that had nothing to do with the Daily Pump workout, be a picture of me and Tommy doing something, and they're like, hey, you got a question about a tricep extension. Not the place for that, right? So we're trying to make all of that workout stuff kind of be in one spot where it's not getting lost for people that really want to see it. So the app's obviously a fun part of that whole thing because it's just my training. It's an easy business considering it's my passion and my imagination and all the stuff that I've learned over the years. Like the old school bodybuilding, putting that in and teaching other people, the next generation, is what's fun in that whole thing. Clifford and arms race, that's going to be sups and the clothing. Again, just chipping away at that. Clifford started with just the belt, and it's gotten to a point where we're actually trying to get into a couple different stores like, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be saying this, but I'm going to say fucking anyway. Urban Outfitters and potentially Dick's for our accessories line. And then Urban Outfitters for our, I believe it's the fucking leg day. All of the funny things.
Awesome.
Like dumbbells and doobies, fucking leg day. And then I think one other one, because they kind of have that graphic tee vibe to them.
Love it.
And I don't know, I think maybe I'm one of those people that, although we all do online stuff, every once in a while it would be kind of fun to walk into like, not even like a 7-Eleven and be like, oh man, is that, or like Dick's Sporting Goods and be like, oh, there's pre-workout, my pre-workout or something. You know what I mean? Like you see Optimum and stuff there and all that. So I think that's still the goal for me, is to do that kind of stuff. It feels cool, brick and mortar and the old school stuff, but just doing the same old stuff. And then I think after bodybuilding.com is when I started leaning towards, that's when I had the whole realization of like, man, I'm going to probably do this for a while. I can't keep bouncing to sub sponsor to sub sponsor to sub sponsor. Even if I do like the people that I worked with, that's when I needed to go towards arms race and be like, I need to build my own brand that I believe in, because I'm leaving these people because they're not filling a need or something. You know what I mean? So at least if I have my own brand, even if it's not optimum, it's going to cover all my bases and I'm going to be stoked.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have 100% control of that, right?
Yep.
Well, maybe not 100%, but you have a lot of control of that. Now, this is awesome to hear where you are now, right? But I've been watching, like from the outside in, you know, from over the years. And I said to Paolo, I don't know if it was planned or if you guys really had any strategy going into it, but I think we have done a couple of similar things as well. And I understand what it takes. And I understand what responsibility or workload it takes to be able to develop such a strong platform.
For sure. And
to be able to, monetize it, but mostly be able to give your best self to your entire community.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting. And I know that it was just you and Casey at one point, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much from the beginning until very recently.
Yeah.
And then I started to watch things happen. And then at the same time, which is the separate section, right? The family started to happen. So I was like, I wonder if this was strategical, right? That they were trying to build to a certain point, then knew that they got the volume up so high. And it's like, all right, we've created a monster. Oh, we got a little lights up, baby. We're setting the mood. I like it.
Did this one just die?
Hey, if it did, it's okay. I dig the vibes. If it's your mum, answer. Make sure we say hi.
Dad,
We can get another one.
No, I think
Is that going to screw it up at all?
No.
You want to check just to be safe?
I can see us still. We got silhouettes. You see us, right? We're alive. Hey. Yeah. If you're not watching, the lights went out. We're just trying to set the tone a little bit, you know? We got some whiskey here.
Let me
It's 10:30 a.m., but...
And I do have all those other lights, too. You guys try to keep this as uncut as possible or not? Don't really care.
Don't give a shit. I'm having a conversation with a marketing team whenever things started to actually become real. I was like, oh, shit. Like, this is actually a business. That wasn't the goal, right? Yeah. It's like, and that's what they said to me. It's like, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Is that this all happened by accident. And it's just a stage of evolution, and you saw it, you fixated on it, and then you just became obsessed with it. People that usually come to us, they'll be like, here's where I want to be. Yeah. Help me get there. Yeah. Whereas it's like, I don't know. I just need you guys to help me fucking figure this out, because it's getting out of control. Yeah. It's like when you find the passion and just do something and then it just, continues to evolve. Yeah. That's totally different than if you're like, hey, want the marketing team. This is Julian Smith. So how can we get me to get to 2 million people in here? I want this. I want an app. I want this. It's like, whoa. It doesn't work like that. You can't just go there. You have to eat shit, figure it out, make a lot of mistakes to really understand, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm still doing it. It's year 3. I haven't made any money, but I believe in it so strongly that it refused to quit. To quit.
I think I think that people think that like the whole fitness world is very oversaturated right now. But if you bring something new and like your own vibe, it's like, I don't know anybody who's like you guys. Like there's nobody else on the platform that looks like you at all. I can't think of another person, right? And I might be white and a normal guy, but it's like with my super facial hair, but it's like I wanted my atmosphere and my vibe to be standalone, right?
And that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, so you want to put your own little stamp out there. Like I didn't want to look like everyone else and do the same old, stay shredded 24/7. I was like, man, I get fat in my off season. Yeah. I want to grow. I want to do the thing that I've done my whole life to continue building up and cutting. I like showing.
Sustainable.
I like it, you know what I mean? And I think finding a way to continue doing that is all I really wanted to do.
Yeah. That just reminded me of a post that Dana Lynn posted the other day. She's like, man, I remember when I used to try and hide my legs.
Yeah.
And because I didn't look like every other girl in school. And now she's like, now I'm trying to do everything I fucking can to make my legs as big as they could possibly be and not look like anyone else that there is. And that's what it is all about. Like, you can have, I never really had an idol. I never really had someone that I looked up to. I think my idol was like my dad. You know, it was like discipline, work ethic, family, morals. Like all of these things are so different. So it's been interesting to watch everyone that has been at those expos. You know, if you're at an expo for a reason, and to watch what you guys have done, which is going to stem into the next conversation, right? Which is, we understand what it takes as husband and wife to try and make all these things happen, right? You've evolved, you've continued to grow, not just within the business, but your family too, right? Casey's, if you guys don't know who Casey is a beautiful, beautiful, blonde hair, color her eyes. Describe her. Describe her.
Yeah. Casey's awesome. Like, I like to take a lot of, a lot of me on social media. It's about, you know, my filming and doing all my stuff, but Casey's like the behind the scenes, like, brain of the operations. Like, you might have an idea. Have you ever heard a guy been like, oh, I had an idea for fucking, you know, Subway back in the day? We didn't do it.
Right.
That guy did. I don't care what you said you were going to do. You know, I've had ideas for certain things, and Case helped me make them. You know, you need smart people to help you get to the next level. Casey's best features have little to do with her good looks. You know what I mean? You know, Casey's obviously very pretty. She's like, prettiest girl I've ever seen. You know what I mean? She's beautiful. But she's so smart, and she gets so many different things outside what I've experienced with, like, my, you know, past relationships. I was just like, man, this is a girl, she works fucking hard. I like people that work hard, you know what I mean? Like, she's always been the kind of person that's like, we wanted to work hard to get to a certain level, but she'll reel me in when it's like, we're there. Why are you stressing out still? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people that go out there and they're like, I want 10 Porsches. It's like, well, you got one. Do you need all that? Like, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, hey, Julian, you have your gym. Do you want the second building too? It's like, you know what? If that never happens, I should be happy with this. You know what I mean? I think that's one of the most important things, because I think when you're in this and you want to see your following grow, or you want to see your businesses get a little more followers, or whatever it is, it's hard to look back and go, you're already where you wanted to get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Because
like,
you're always chasing the next thing. What's the next thing? What's the next thing?
Exactly.
You get to a point where you got all the next things.
Yeah.
And I think it's a healthy balance, because it's the same with us. Like, which is why we're on this road trip, right? Trying to find another fucking gear to slow down. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
But it's important to have that person in your life. But at the same time, it makes the best team, because without the obsessive, what's next, there would be no next. But without the person that's reeling you in and making you understand, look at the shit that you've got, there would also be no next.
You'd probably have like 20 little businesses that get no time.
Exactly.
You'd just be spread thin everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, so everything with Case, I mean, I met her early on. We both, she competed locally. We were both seeing other people at the time. She was married. I was engaged. She split up, and then, we weren't that close. It was just kind of like we'd go out with friends, and then the groups would be there. And then I split with my fiance back in the day, and 3 or so months after I split, a friend of ours was just like, oh, you should meet up with a friend of mine. She just recently got divorced, and she sent me a pic, and I was like, that's fucking Casey. I would love to go out with her, and that was literally the start of all of it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
How long ago was that?
6 years.
Awesome. Man.
6 years, and Case was with me beginning of Instagram. She used to actually help me with some of my like demo posters that I would go when I go like Vitamin Shop and do Optimum taste testings and stuff. She would help me do like my cut and paste stuff because I didn't know how to do any of that stuff.
Love that.
Yeah,
and her background is graphic design?
It actually not. So she was like, she did accounting, and she was kind of like a jack of all trades. She was at a place called the Passport Online, and it was like a travel agency for like cruise ships and stuff like that. So I think since it was such a small business, she did one of those things where she lied about what her qualifications were when she was young, and they hired her, and then she fucking learned it all. And then she was with them for 10 years.
Oh, awesome.
So she is really smart. She knows how to like dive into stuff. And I think a lot of people in this industry, and I think this is where you guys are probably like me and Casey, or Casey and I, sorry, she'd fucking be mad if she heard me say that. She's like, that was way wrong. Yeah. But it's like, you get the right person involved, and it's like you said, it's like they help you get towards what you want to do, and they kind of like take out the blinders too, where some people, like, let's say you're both need like now I need everything. If there was another me in the picture,
oh my gosh,
it just wouldn't, there's no blinders and there's no bringing you back. It's just a beneficial thing, and it doesn't even have to be a significant other. If you had a friend that was like that, you know what I mean? I think a lot of people are like, man, I need the best fitness partner ever. It's like, sometimes you butt heads with people that are like super into fitness. Like, I come to the gym every single day, and Casey doesn't like going to the gym every day. You know, there's two differences, but if like I had some, if Casey was so diehard, she went to the gym more than me, and it was more like regimented and routine, we'd probably butt heads more, because it's like, well, who's gonna train here and there and do this? And we've just on the same page.
Yeah.
It's
It's
nice.
taken us so many years to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because we met so young, you know, where we,
And
neither of
before
us knew.
fitness as well.
Way before fitness.
Yeah. And I think
No idea what fitness
that kind of dictated a lot of how things happen, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But dude, I get that. Like, we would never survive if there was two as me. We would never survive if there was two as him. You know, it's like, it is a balance machine for sure. But it's taken so many years to figure that out. Now I'm like, I used to be like, we're going to the gym.
Yeah.
You know, now it's like, nah, I'm going to go to the gym. See you later. He'll be on, he'll be off. He'll be on, he'll be off. But it's your journey. This is my journey. And whatever we do together is always fun.
Yeah. And I think what's actually pretty cool now is like when you do it for a long period of time, like when I come in here now, Case will be like, well, if you're having a stressful day, she's like, just train. Like, don't get any of your videos done.
Yeah.
She's like, just take a total day off. And it's like, I think when people start, like when you guys are in it, like you didn't have to worry about social media back in the day, but now that you do and you understand some of the struggles that come with it, everyone thinks it's easy to do all like the social media stuff, but it's like a pretty nerve-wracking thing. And it's pretty hard on you mentally to continue doing this kind of stuff. It sounds weird, but like even that Jake Paul, not that he has the greatest reputation, but he said, he goes, I think YouTubing and like vlogging and like daily content is harder than boxing. That's what he said. He goes, it might not be physically harder. He goes, but to do a routine, he goes, people can't do anything for a week straight. He's like, imagine doing it for like 2 years in a row, nothing breaks. He goes, people can't even stay on a diet for that long. But it's just interesting because if you have that type of approach and the right people, you could do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's consistency, right?
Yep.
But that's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
One on anything.
And I think it's also hard for people, this is kind of back to like the membership site thing, because when we first launched the membership site, it didn't do very well. Like we had a lot of people sign. It was like one of those email lists, and there was like a couple hundred people on. I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible.
This is it.
And then like 7 people signed up on the day one. And I think a lot of people would go, well, that's not successful. What else am I going to do to make money? But I kept doing the whole like, dude, if I got like 2 or 3 members and then like 4 years, like every single day, and then at 4 years, I'd have a fuckload of people. And I kept playing that in my head. And I think that's a big mistake that people make. They're like, it's just not worth it right now. But it would be so much more worth it if you kept up than anything that you've ever done in your life. You know
I
what
say
mean?
all the time, like, if it's not a thing, it will be a thing if you make it a thing. But most people won't give it the chance to get to become a thing, right? It's like just consistency. I laugh at the shit that we used to do. Like because we still have the same group of friends. They make sure to give me the same amount of shit as they did then. And it's like become like a laughing stock, right? Like hashtagging, whatever it is that we do. And I think that's also another key point, which is why we're so grounded. Because we've got the same people around us that were there.
The same homies that knew you before
that
all
still
this.
give me shit.
Yeah, my buddy, he lives in my previous home before he moved. His name's Andrew, one of my best friends. He'll come in here and train, and doesn't really like working out. He's just doing it to stay healthy. Really not into the bodybuilding thing at all, but he'll walk in here and be like, you look like shit.
Yeah.
He'll say it to me and be like, he's like, I just work on it maybe a little bit more. He's like, you're not great at all this. And I'm like, I'm working on it, man. He's like, I just get better. And he'll just walk away. And I think that's an interesting thing too. Casey said that when we first met. I was like, this is Andrew. He's like one of my best friends. And she was like, did not see that coming. She's like, I thought some jack dude with like tattoos was going to come walking out. And then you have Andrew who's like 6'3", and he's just like, hey, douchebag. And I'm just like getting nailed to the side. I'm like, all right, dude. But it's just like, I think that level, when you start growing the following, you start getting more popular, you see the people only associate with the big names.
Right.
I'm only going to put you on my page if you have a big following, because I know you'll share it, and then those followers are coming back. You're not throwing up pictures of the homies with private accounts that aren't even, on social media.
I remember bodybuilding with that. Whenever they asked me to do a program, they're like, you can pick your own background talent. I'm like, cool. I think they thought I was going to whip out some fucking superstars, right? And I want my husband and this little redhead that's from Idaho. Like, literally, he has no following, but he's one of the hardest workers I've ever met. This guy deserves to be there. He's, like, obsessed, right? What that did for that kid is life-changing.
Cool.
That was, how many years ago was that? 2017 was the first one. They asked, and he was like a nobody then, right?
Yeah.
Goes away. 3 years later, but they asked us to come back and do the sequel. He is now like
So he
on the
was
level of
obsessed with bodybuilding.
Yes.
Followed everyone. Followed
Oh my
you.
God.
Follow everyone.
Anyone's stats. It's like
And,
obsessive.
That's tight.
He started bodybuilding at the age of 12, and his thing was he never drank. And he goes, dude, I lost my dad from a heart attack, and I figured out that the heart is just a muscle, and if I can start working out today, I'll never have that problem going up. And started bodybuilding, dude. At the age of 18, this kid was built.
That's tight.
And this is what's interesting. He knows about everyone's life on Instagram. Like if I bring up your name, you'd be like, yeah, I remember. Like in 2013, Julian was doing this, and then he got with this brand.
Like, and his split this week was
he knows
this, and this. He's like,
that's
knows
tight.
everyone's shit.
And then we got together with this kid, and we're like, yeah, man, we used to do CrossFit. He goes, CrossFit? I'm like, dude, you should try because your bases are really good. And he decided to try CrossFit.
Yeah.
This motherfucker's training with the biggest names in CrossFit
And now
right
it's
now.
like-
And it's about to
Top
qualify
10.
to
Oh,
regionals
wow.
and
That's
Oh my
everything.
god,
sick.
all these sponsorships, but it's like just planting that seed into somebody that deserves a break. The same way that BJ Goodall did that for me. That's how my career got to
Oh,
where
with
it was.
BJ?
100%.
I love BJ.
He's my
He's
homie,
a good dude.
you know? And the same thing happened with Tanner, but point being, like, I'm not afraid. I don't want to surround myself with the superstars. They got their shit on their own. Like, what about everyone else? There's so many people that deserve a break. And it's,
I agree.
It's timing, it's a break, and it's just an opportunity. Or a
Yeah, it's kind of like the Sween Dog.
yes.
So she met me, or he came up at an expo. I think it was like LA or something like that. And I'm like, oh, because I knew they were coming. I was like, I talked to him all the time online. And I'm like, all right, man, it's good to meet you. I think he had like long hair at the time. Like I kind of didn't recognize him. And I'm like, where's Sam? I'm like, what's going on? I thought she was here. He's like, oh, she's too nervous. She's hiding behind the pole.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, what? And I like looked over and she was just standing by the pole like on her phone. And I'm like, hold on. And we hopped over the line and walked over to her. And now she's probably going to have a bigger following than me one day.
I love
She's
that.
part of the team, right?
Yeah, she's on Arms Race now.
The first sponsored athlete?
Our first sponsored
I
athlete
love
with
that.
Arms Race. Yeah,
I
so
love
she
that.
was, it was like, we like that a lot. Like when everything comes full circle, like, I don't know if you ever saw the story with like Doug and I, when I bought core nutritional stuff back when I was like probably 20 years old, 21, 22, somewhere in there, he ended up, I bought some stuff from him and he put in, or I sent something back and I said I didn't get like one of the free whatevers. And then he sent a personalized note to me with like some never before seen products and just gave them to me for free. And I wrote a little review on my Facebook. I think there was like 17 likes on the picture, but it was like a really nice thing about Doug and his brands. And now he's my business partner.
I love
that's
that.
So it goes all the way down, like literally 10 years later. And then his really, really nice interaction with me, I always remembered it. And then when it came down to us like picking and choosing who we were going to go with, because we were with, we had talked to a few people. I was going to potentially do sponsorships with either Evogen or Rise.
Cool.
And then we had some of the people that were involved with Alani New and Katie and Hayden. We were kind of chatting with them about doing subs with them. And it just was one of those things where I'm such a family guy and I'm so big on like memories and like nostalgia, where I was like Doug has been the same for 10 years to me. And he had no need to ever be mean or nice, or he didn't know me. That's just how he was. And I was like, everybody who was trying to give me offers then, I was like, you're just basing off of what you know me for the past couple years.
Exactly.
Right.
I go, Doug was treating me good before I had Instagram.
Right.
So it was kind of like, that's
For you.
where,
For who you are, not for
exactly.
anything else.
That's why I laugh when I see people like talking shit. It's pretty funny, but like anybody who's got a relatively large following that'll come over and like throw a little hate, I screenshot them and I actually have a group message and I send them to people that have businesses in the social media world. I go, don't ever sponsor this guy.
Good, man.
I'll screenshot like, oh, you're a fucking asshole. You said something racist. Bink.
Bing,
I'll
not good.
take it and I throw it to like people like anybody like Joey Swole, people who have connections that would eventually give you the foot in the door.
Right.
Entry,
I just closed it.
Right.
And it's like, I think it goes a long way. Because I've had bad
Absolutely, man.
interactions.
Oh,
I've had a couple times where you say the wrong things and you look like an asshole. I'm like, never doing that again. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if I was right. I just don't like how I looked.
Right.
You know
But
what I mean? Because
that's
I'm not like
awareness,
that, you know?
That's an incredible awareness.
Yeah. So I think paying attention to that kind of stuff, and I know we're fucking all over the place with this part right now.
No,
but
That's
like
right. No,
this
it's
part,
relationships, man. Relationships matter.
I think it's huge. I think, and it's kind of interesting too, because you'll see like certain people that are like we were talking about, like you could tell like, I got to change things. Clearly I'm an asshole bodybuilder mentality is not working for me right now. And you see them pumping the brakes and they're trying to be nice.
Yeah.
And you could just tell they're not.
Right. It's
You know?
They're
forced.
trying.
It's
Yeah.
forced.
Yeah, maybe just stick to the tough guy or like a evil villain thing. But it's like,
or just stick to the real person you are.
Yeah.
People probably like that better, even if you're a little bit of a dick.
So you mentioned before you had Instagram. What did you do before Instagram? What did you do before all of this?
So I worked in my family's trucking company. They ran a medical courier that delivered radioactive pharmaceutical medicines to hospitals.
Holy
so
dang.
they operated in about, I'd say 20 states, Northwest Territory, which was like Washington and Oregon. Yeah. California was big by itself. It was just its own little territory. Texas and the surrounding states, and then the East Coast, Florida, and then the surrounding states like Alabama, Carolinas, and stuff. And so if you've known somebody or hopefully you don't one day, but like strokes or heart attacks, it's the ink that they inject in your system, and it spiders off through all your arteries and stuff to find the blockage. Yeah. So that lights you up on the X-ray machine, and that's literally what we delivered. So comes in on like into the airport, the Lear jets drop down, our trucks drive up there, they unload it, put it right into the car, and then Joe Smith is literally waiting to get injected. It's time-sensitive material, so they're allowed to speed in certain situations. If like someone in Boise is getting something and it's dropped at PDX, it's like, get going. And they're fucking gone because it could go bad hours after. Wow. And if there's somebody waiting to find that blockage and they don't get it, it's
where does it come from?
So it comes from these nuclear, basically plants. A lot of them are up in like, I think the main one was like actually Canada, where we do a lot, or where we got a lot of that. There's all of those nuclear things everywhere, but when it comes to that medicine, that specific stuff, that ink, that's where we got it from. It's like Cardinal Health. A lot of those larger companies, they all have feet in the door with all that stuff. But it was a really interesting thing. I love working with my family. And they were pretty supportive with like the bodybuilding thing. Yeah. And it was kind of a fun lifestyle because when I was working in the company, it was very computer. And I really liked that. But every once in a while, I would say like, not every once in a while, probably like once a week, I would do pretty serious drives down to LA. Portland to LA, 17 hours. Or Burbank. And
big 18-wheeler.
No, like trucks. Okay. So back to the real quick on that. So my family delivered, these packages are like this big. Okay. And the little ink that they inject is like this. Like that. So this tiny little thing in a massive like lead box so no radiation gets out. And those big rigs it's so small they need fast stuff. So they'll get like a little Ford Focus. And it has all the hazmat shit all around it, and they're just going. You know what I mean? Or a Toyota Tacoma. That's why I always have Toyotas, because almost my family's entire fleet, because they sold the company last year or 2 years ago, the entire fleet was Toyota. So that's why I've just always stuck with Toyota, because it's in regards to long distance stuff. My dad, over 40 years, he was like, it's the only one that never broke down.
It doesn't break.
They don't break. So it might not be great in regards to like towing heavy stuff, but if you're going to be one of those guys who needs like, hey, I'm going to get a couple 100,000 miles out of this, it's just like a kind of a no-brainer for my dad, at least. Everyone's got good experiences.
That was because before this trip, I had like a fancy car.
Yeah.
But now we've got trucks, right? I'm like, I want a fucking truck. I don't want
I'm like, get a Tundra's a big one.
Yeah.
I was telling her to get the small one, the
Tacoma.
But I want it.
My parents have a Tacoma. Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you, you should hop in mine and just see what you like. So the back seat of the Tundras are actually bigger than the front, the Crew Maxes.
Okay.
So like you'll get in there and like you could put like a twin bed, it feels like, in there. It's fucking awesome. Man. And the Toyota Tacomas are just a little tight. And if you're gonna have kids one day, because we have the 4Runner, it's the same. I think it's on the same chassis. It's the exact same everything. It's just a 4Runner. When you get in there and you're kind of putting Tommy or your kid into the seat, it's like pretty squished in there. So we're actually going to get rid of the 4Runner and probably do a Sequoia. Yeah. We just like Toyota. It's like we don't like luxury stuff because the dogs and like half the time I'm sweaty and getting in the car. So it's like something too nice. It's like, I'm just going to ruin that myself.
I got a nice one and I barely used it. Yeah. Honestly, it used to sit on the driveway. We'd use the truck for everything because they're always gross and dirty too. See, stay true to who you are.
You're like date night once a month.
right.
This isn't nice anymore. Yeah.
Uber.
Yeah, that's Uber.
Our date night. Uber.
But what I was going to say, back with my family's company, I actually really did like it. I think what was fun about it is when you do something like that, which is, I don't want to say that like, it's not my passion. It's not my passion. Yeah. It's not the most fun thing ever. But it makes your passion more fun.
Right. Yeah.
Now that I do fitness and stuff for work, it's like I actually get stressed and amped up and worried about stuff, and it's bodybuilding. Yeah. That never used to be an issue before. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you were talking about all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is work now, and it kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah. I was definitely going through that issue too, because I was like, she really like working with my parents, and now you're in a situation where it's like there's no one helping you at all. It's just you are doing this, and it feels weird when it all of a sudden is something and you're like, I was not even trying to do that. Yeah. Right. You know?
So it started with what? Bodybuilding shows?
Bodybuilding shows. I started, first show was 19 years old. I got my ass kicked in everything that I entered. I was really bothered because my conditioning sucked, and I went back the next year and I won all of my classes. Still didn't look great. It was just like an improvement. And that's when I was like, dude, I won juniors and light heavies at the 2 shows that I did. I'm like, but I look like shit. I didn't like how I looked. I looked better than them, but it was like, you weren't the best like that you could have looked. You just won based off of who didn't show up. That's how I felt back then. And I was like, well, I'm going to start diving more into, that was Doug Miller at the time. That's when I first got in, like, so I stopped competing at 20, did a 6-year off season. And in that 6-year off season is when I actually made contact with Doug, started following, like, he did those long off seasons. So I was like, well, I'm going to have to do something like that if I'm ever going to see this kind of like progress that I want. Cause I was at 20, I was like, I'm never going to compete again. Because of the diet that I did was like, I gained 40 pounds after the show. In like 2 weeks, I couldn't put my work boots on to lay cement. It was just so swollen. I had to go and get like what's it called, the saline drip to like get your fluids back or whatever it's called. And I was just thinking like, first my parents were pissed. They were just like, this is the fucking stupidest, most unhealthy thing. Like you make no money at it. You look like you have cancer when your face is all sucked in. But when you learn about it the right way, I was like, maybe this will be something down the line. So I literally sat in that off season for 6 years. And learned about flexible dieting, macros, proper off seasons, and when I finally cut, that's when I did that the 2013 Ironman, and I won the overall there. And no social media or anything. And do you know who Diane Rudholm is? Rudholm? I don't even know if that's how you pronounce her last name. I know she's married now, and it's not her last name. But she was an Optimum Nutrition rep at the time, and they had a booth. And she ended up, we ended up talking back and forth, getting in contact, and then that's how I got sponsored.
Amazing, man.
So, and they one thing that he said was he liked how I was personable and able to speak on the microphone after I had won. Yeah. And they liked that about me. So I don't know if that had something to do with like, I don't know if you can get sponsored outside of like no IG now.
Right.
But I think it's kind of like you said, where it's like, they probably saw and they're like, okay, this isn't a guy who can only talk about chicken breasts. This could be a guy who could actually speak and talk, and kind of the diamond in the rough kind of a thing, like you're talking about with your guy who's now doing CrossFit.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you can become a spokesperson. Yeah.
So when you say that you're at 15 or 19, sorry, you're like, man, I won, but I couldn't do better. Yeah. Do you read?
I do.
Okay.
I do, but it's not like that type of reading. I read about like everything fitness.
Okay. Mindset, anything like that?
Kind of. I like that kind of stuff, but I was also the kind of person where it's like I hated that I had to read a book how to get better at not going off my diet. Right. So I was kind of the person who would always try to find ways to like how to like my bodybuilding. Not that I had mentors, but like what did Tom Platz do to stay focused and stuff, and kind of like that. You know what? I'm gonna be like the old school dudes and stop bitching like these fucking dudes in the '90s, kind of a thing. And that kind of translated a little bit, but I really do like the reminders of like some type of a mental state to like get prepared for the day and everything, instead of just being only about working out and stuff.
So there's a book called Relentless. And
actually, that sounds familiar.
It's from Tim S. Grover, which is Michael Jordan, Dwayne Wade, Kobe's a coach. And it's all about mindset and discipline or whatever. And he, over the years, have decided there's 2 types of people. And you can be extremely successful and still be the worst kind of person, right? Which is a cleaner and a closer. Yeah. A cleaner is someone that will be there throughout the entire season, right? They show up, they play. Once they've won, they don't go celebrate at the bar. They go straight back to the gym and work on what they fucked up on. Yeah. They didn't like their layout that happened, whatever else. They're the Michael Jordans of the crew, right? Yeah. Then there's closers that, if you're on the team, you're obviously extremely talented, but you're really here for other reasons. And you're a closer. You show up at the end to make sure that you celebrate all your wins, but you didn't put the work in before. You're a fucking cleaner, man. You don't even know it. Yeah. It's like, and I'll read books sometimes, and it's like, I don't know if high performers, overachievers, whatever you want to call them, people that succeed in a space, especially if they're self-built or self-made, there's something that's so common within them all. And it's like these books that I read now, just because I'm so obsessed with like, holy shit, stoicism, philosophy, all this weird shit that people need to read a book to get something out of. I'm the same way. It's like, nah, dude, like, I'm sure there's definitely tips, there's techniques that can help, but you either have that or you don't have it. It's you got to work on it and callous your mind. But it's interesting to see how many individuals that are successful have that same mentality of like, listen, I'm not here to say that I'm bad. I know that great, I did get first place, but it was nowhere fucking good enough. Like that obsessive behavior is so fascinating to me. And you read a book, it's like they're writing about you. You read a book, it's like they're writing about me or someone else that's been super successful. It's like there's this common theme that happens amongst people. They don't even know about it. It's not discussed. It's not taught. It just is there. And it's fascinating. Does Casey have that same mentality?
I would say so. I think if you see her Instagram, she has that thing in there that says the official emergency brake for Julian Smith. So she definitely is like the safety net, making sure that, you know, I always come up with ideas. That's how we've come up with a lot of our stuff and us going back and forth. But I mean, I'm always coming up with those kind of things. And I think it's nice to kind of reel it back in from time to time. But Casey definitely is like that. Yeah. I think she's just smarter about it. Like, I actually get excited about the idea of starting a new business, knowing how stressful it's going to be. Right. But Casey's the kind of person where it's like, I think she tries to, we could still do certain things, but it should not be more stress. Right. You know what I mean? I think kind of like you guys, where it's like, you're getting to a certain point where it's like, you know, yeah, exactly. It's like, you also work really hard at your content. Yeah. You do very good, informative content. You know, these people that get on there and take a picture of their abs and their followings are going down or they're not getting good engagement. It's like, well, what is there to engage with? Right. You know what I mean? Right. So you guys putting that high level of content out there and, being ready to go 24/7. I don't know. Like, there is something different about like influencers. I think there's something different about influencers that actually know how to build brands outside of, maybe that's what it is. It's the brand building. Because I think it's actually pretty easy to grow a following if you know what to do. Yep. If you want to start showing some skin as a girl, you could get a following pretty quick and make a shitload of money on OnlyFans, right? But if you're trying to do a brand, it's hard. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard on you mentally. It's hard on all this stuff. It's hard when shit doesn't sell. You know, it's hard when you want something in 2 years, but you're stuck at 2 months in. Yep. You know, when we launched Clifford, it was only small batch belts. And for the first 6 months of, we did the Artemis thing. We never talked about that. But when we launched Clifford, I wore one Clifford Lennox belt for 6 months that no one could have. I love that. So everyone was like, where can I get it? I'm like, you can't. No one can get it. That's it. Like, jokingly, like, no one's allowed to have this, man. I am literally the only one on earth, and that's that belt that's framed. The original one. Yeah, so after we did the same thing with the belts that we did with the pump, where it was like, you know what, if people are really asking about this, let's throw up an email list and see how many people are getting on. And then before you know it, the amount of people that wanted the belt got above the minimum requirement for the order. So then we were like, wow, okay, that's awesome. Time. So at least, and then we were kind of thinking, okay, this is going to be like the fucking membership thing. Maybe they won't sign up. And there were a lot of people that are not purchased, but there were a lot of people that didn't. But it was still one of those things where if you don't take that chance, you don't see it and make that effort. I don't know. It's just, I think people only want to win and they can't let their egos get slammed. And I think if you remove your ego a little bit more, that's when like I don't want to call it crazy, but Case thinks that everybody in our industry is a little crazy for what they're doing. For sure. And I think that's when the crazies get to like the higher level is when you take it that far. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Actually put yourself and dive into it deep.
Now, we talked about business. We talked about relationships, personal, right? And I find this one really hard to answer because my business is like my passion. Yeah. But at the same time, like, Hannah's passion is probably sitting outside and making a fucking fort out of wood. Yeah. You know, that has nothing to do with fitness. Yeah. Like, and I didn't know any of that about myself. Yeah. And it took me a lot to try and figure that out. Yeah. But over the years, this is a wearing job. It's exhausting. It's tiring. At some point, if you don't stay fulfilling your own, like you say, when you look at Tommy, it like fills him. Yep. We call that a love tank, right? Exactly. I don't know if you've read that book. If you're married, you should totally read.
Is that the love languages? Oh yeah, that's probably one of the only books I've read.
Yeah, it's a decent job, but I look at that in many different ways, right? Where was I going with that? Oh, I just said, oh, hang on, I just lost it.
The tanks.
But it disappeared. What was I talking about before the love tanks? Oh. Hey everybody, touch the nose and it will come back.
Personal, we spoke about business. And
what makes you tick? Or do you even know that world yet? Like,
so you're asking. So I actually do, and I've actually been really good at that. I think. From a long period of time. Case asked me the other day, she was like, if you could go back and she goes, if you could have your same following and same businesses, they were just in a different category on social media. She's like, would you still do bodybuilding? And I go, no, I'd be a professional surfer.
Really?
A professional surfer. Or like a snowboarder. Awesome. And I think it's because I've done those sports my whole life. And then I got into other sports later. Like when we used to go up to ski bowl and do mountain biking in the summers, ride the ski lift up with no snow and bike down, skateboarding from day one, been on jet skis and water sports, you know, even in Oregon from a young kid. And it's just one of those things where it's a very, very happy adrenaline rush. Yeah. And there's just something about fitness and bodybuilding that's very aggressive. And I'm not I don't want to say I'm an aggressive person. Like if Like, I'm clearly going to stand up for myself, and if something goes down, like, I'm never going to shy away. But I'm always a happier person. I'm not trying to act tough. Oh, you're bigger than me? You are bigger than me. See ya.
Cool.
Fucking care, man. And I think that's where it gets kind of like, whatever. But outside of fitness, I really like those sports. I think that's cool. Obviously, can't do a lot of that now because it's really hard for me to go do any of that, right? But I really like shit that I enjoyed when I was younger. I've been doing the collecting cards.
Yeah,
do that with the kids. I think that's...
That's cool.
Yeah, I actually saw something the other day. I thought it was probably one of my favorite quotes. It could be one of those ones where they put the quote down. It's not even the fucking guy saying it. But it was T-Pain, and it was T-Pain saying, he goes, you should have one hobby that you do that all your friends don't like.
I love that.
And it was something like that, and I was just thinking, like, there's probably people in bodybuilding that like collecting cards or whatever it is, but like, every time that I find something that I think is fun, I just do it.
I like that.
Even if, like, oh, like anything, right? Like, oh, you don't like cards? Well, I'm not doing that for you.
That's
right. I'm not doing that for you. Like, it's like when people say, oh, you shouldn't train like that. I built my physique off of my training. Why would I ever listen to you? I'm just going to do what I do, you know? And I think maybe that's the mindset of, like, you said, like, going out there and finding something, like, there's probably a lot of shit that you love more than everything you've done in your life, and you just haven't done it yet.
Exactly. And that's for so many people, I think. And I'm now finding out these things. I'm like, fuck, I love this. And it's interesting you say that. It goes back to your childhood. Like, weird shit that you didn't think that was a big part of your life. Like, I was raised, my parents tell me now that they made us feel like we were rich, but we were never rich. Yeah. So when every other family was on cruises and shit, we would, like, go to the woods and build forts in the rain and sleep in a tent.
Just doing stuff.
Just making shit happen.
Yeah.
And now that's, like, literally all I want to do. Like, thankfully, this guy's down for the adventure. We've been doing, like, backcountry camping, hiking 5 miles, putting up a tent, and sleeping with bears. You know, like, weird shit that has got nothing to do with fitness. It's totally unrelated, but I think it's important that we all kind of, like, tap into that.
And I think that now that you're able to build these lives, you're able to get out there and explore. That's it. Yeah. Thankfully, right?
Yeah.
Because most people, they're attached to a life. They're attached to whatever they built. And life is usually not this easy, man. Yeah. If you really, really, really strip everything down. Yeah. Like you were saying, dude, I used to be stressed about work and all of this. And now I'm stressed about bodybuilding. Yeah. Like, whenever you're having a really shitty day, have a little bit of gratitude and think, holy fuck.
Zoom out.
I'm really stressed about this.
Yeah.
I can. Like,
I love
it's all right. Everything's all right.
And we joke and laugh all the time. It's like, and it's all relative to everyone's life, right? But we'd made this big decision to live on the road, take a business on the road when we're in a fucking RV. There's no internet. It's so stressful. But it's like, hang on. Look at what we're doing. Yeah. Like, who gets to do this? There's so many people that wouldn't be able to do this in a lifetime. So
anybody, like, you do what you're doing in the 90s, everyone would go, they're unemployed.
Yep.
They have no money.
Yeah, everyone thinks, like,
they're hippies. Yeah. But it's like, no, you're not losing money. You're just choosing. It's like going on vacation and doing whatever the hell you want. You're just doing your thing.
Dude, and it's funny because, and I also, that's where I realized maybe it's age that I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Because we're living in an RV. We're living in a trailer. Like, so many of our friends, we have more money now than we've ever had in our lives, right? We're probably spending less money now than we've ever spent. It's not intentional. It's like fulfillment versus achievement. We've achieved a lot, but I haven't felt fulfilled for a shit ton of time. So now it's time to take this year and let's just go be fucking wild hippies that live in a van and try and make shit happen.
Just for a little bit.
Yeah, just for a little bit.
But also, you guys are successful at what you do. So that's also probably a big reason why. You know, like, it's kind of like short guy syndrome or something like that. Or like, you know, wow, that's some small dick energy you're putting out there, guy. It's a lot of people that put out that, like, negative whatever attitude. It's because they haven't done much that they're... Imagine you've done so many things in your life that you just... I don't care if you don't like me. I'm fucking happy that I've done what I've done. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get knocked off your feet because you're just fucking happy with yourself, kind of a thing. Yeah. And I think when people can get to that level, like, you guys, you know, you might have great... you know, friends, you might have very supportive everything, but the fact that you guys are able to do whatever the hell you want, all off of your own hard work, it's a very liberating feeling to know that, like, dude, no one's gonna fuck my life up. No one's gonna not show up to work today, because it's me. It's me and my wife or whatever,
and
you know?
it took, I think we need to focus on that a lot more, and it took a long time to figure out, like, the right way of doing things, because we did have the gym, we did have a team of 15 to 20 people at one point across all businesses, right? And it took me burning out and going, you know what I just realized? I hate running a fucking team. Yeah. Like, I love fitness. I love the fact that we have a team. That's a huge compliment that we were able to have that many people work for us is amazing. but I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
It gives me stress. It doesn't make me happy. And I don't think I do a great job of it. And these people deserve a better leader.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's a big step to step down from that now. We've made huge adjustments within the company. But yeah, the growing pains and the weird transition thing was weird. But again, if I didn't do that, we wouldn't be here in 5 years. If I didn't decide to not have red hair anymore, we wouldn't be here in 5 years. And the identity crisis that you think that your success is attached to something, I keep trying to remind myself by these drastic moves, like living in an RV or not having red hair anymore or closing the gym, is like, it isn't about that. It's not attached, you know, and people... Simone Biles, like what she posted after she stepped down was like, oh my God, this whole experience made me realize that I am more than just an Olympic athlete and that people do appreciate me, not just for what I'm doing for the country, but for like genuinely me, like who I am.
Well, we were talking about that the other day. She, I think Case was like, oh, what do you think about this whole thing? I'm like, I think it's fucking terrible that anybody has anything to say about her. It's like, she's fucking flipping through the air.
Oh my gosh.
If I was dizzy, I wouldn't go for a walk.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, but that's like, those are smart people. Like, you get those people that go on there that think they have a voice and they're just saying that. It's like, you're not an Olympic athlete.
No.
I'm not even close to an Olympic athlete.
Bobby Maximus posted the best response to it. It was like, here's a letter to all the people that, whatever, it was like, how about you sit your fat ass up for a second while I talk to you? It's like, who do you know that has won 30 Olympic or national or world...
all together, right?
Yeah, 30 accomplishments, which one person probably can even achieve one. Yeah. She has the states of the twisties or whatever it's called. Yep. If she falls, she could die. It's fatal, right? Like, it's just so interesting how many people, the right people supported her, gave her support, but so many people, they're again the same person that is not got a lot going on in their lives, super envious of anyone else's success. It blames everyone else for their lack. And
they probably got like 4th at a cross country race in high school, and they're like, "Fuck this chick." It's like, dude, you're bad. You
have a country behind you. You should do it.
Yeah.
I love what you did. Yeah. She took the badge and she says, "Nope, I don't want it."
My mental health.
The entire country can fuck off.
And it's true. That is the most important thing, hands down. But honestly, like it kind of there's like another group of lyrics that I think I'm gonna put them maybe like right there if we don't put the flags up. But it's have you ever heard the band Saul? I think it's Saul, and it's called Trial by Fire. And there's a part of that song that I love because it reminds me so much of me. It says, we do what we have to live like we want to.
There you go.
And I think to myself with bodybuilding, it's like, I might not love bodybuilding as much as I used to when I was younger, passion-wise, where I'd be like, man, I'm spending 3 hours there to get my calves bigger. This feels more like a job sometimes, but I'm also fortunate because I'm stuck working out, which is going to make me have a better life. Right. Imagine if like what you did for work was like, you finally got your job all lined up and it was still kind of in front of a computer doing it. It's like, well, then you still got to find a way to be healthy outside of this. At least I molded myself towards something that when I'm done with a grueling workout, even if I hate it, I feel so much better afterwards.
Oh, yeah. 100%. And it's doing something great for your body and your future for sure. Yeah. Dude, thank you so much, man, for chatting. You bet. And opening up and sharing. Yeah. I think we touched all 3 subjects, right?
Yeah. Well, I have a few more questions.
Hit me with it,
listeners. Yeah. So, talk a little bit about fitness. How about that?
All right.
Let's do that. So,
what's that?
What's that?
What is fit?
By the way, this is not vodka. This is
I think. They're like, Julian's really pounding the, that was full.
When I got in here, I'm like, holy shit, this is a badass. He's drinking vodka before the workout. I fucking love it.
Free workout.
I actually have a lot of people write me. They're like, bro, what are you drinking? I'm like, I got to put more stickers on this to make it look like it's definitely my branded thing. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So I bet that a bunch of people listening, they're probably thinking, dude, this is one of the biggest guys today in the industry that have somehow mastered the art of putting on muscle and putting on size. 3 tips if you could eliminate all the bullshit, because people tend to overthink all this shit. Like, dude, I want to get big. I want to do this. If you could share 3.
So one thing that I would say is right now, look at yourself and say, do I track my food properly? And if you're sitting there and there's any question that I might not know what my macros are, or I might not this, that's why you're not seeing progress. That's it. That's number 1, right? You take bodybuilding, CrossFit, Olympic lifting, powerlifting, any type of this type of a sport, the only thing that turns you into a bodybuilder is how you train, right? There's diet across everything. Every one of those sports has some type of serious diet included if you want to see results, right? You might be an Olympic lifter and not doing hypertrophy reps to get a bigger, delt cap, but you're burning a shitload of calories, and diet's a very important part, right? So diet is across the board. You want to be a good powerlifter? Diet needs to be in there too. You might get good, but if you want to start progressing past your your, beginner gains or your newbie gains, you got to get that going, right? And I think a lot of people, they're just doing the whole, and I do it too. I'll sit there and be like, I'm eating enough. And then I'll look back and be like, didn't eat enough that last week. That was fucking ridiculous. I can't believe that, A little lighter on the scale and whatnot. That's one thing that people need to look back and check that off the list immediately. You're not eating enough and you need to eat more. You're never going to look the way you want. Stop bodybuilding. If you can't get your food in, be the person who's bummed. And then you got to drink syrup at night to get the rest of your carbs in. Yeah. You got to do whatever. And that sucks for you. But guess what? Sometimes when I diet down, my wife has better macros than me. That's just what it is. Am I going to cry and be like, well, I'm not going to do this anymore because the girl that weighs 80 pounds less than me, has more macros? That's just what it is. There's some guy. Have you seen some of these bikini girls? Yeah, dude, they do back and forth reverse dieting to a point where their off-season macros are like 800 carbs. Ooh. Wow. And then you have guys that get 0 carbs for 3 weeks out from a show. I think it's like the knowledge of understanding what you need to do, and diet is the most important part of fitness.
And even you track that to this day.
To this day. And there's and I gotta say that there's times where it gets boring and I don't do it, but I don't see results.
Right.
I just did a post the other day. Like I've been getting a little lax, haven't been tracking as much, and I have not been dropping. Yeah. My weight's not been going down. I'm cutting right now. You get on there every week, every other day. I try to, hop on the scale and monitor it. I'm like, dude, you eat, what's case call them? Licks, bites, and whatever. It's basically throughout the day, you're like, I'll take a bite of that. But it's not technically part of your meal. Right. And, I have a little extra bite of rice before, whatever. And then before you know it, you put in, 500 extra calories, and you just didn't see it because of what you were doing. So diet is key. So from
and
there.
that point there, I think, also shows that no matter where you're at, there's not a point where you're like, all right, cool. This is it now. Like, if you want to maintain that kind of physique, if you want to maintain the aesthetics, you have to continue to put the work in. Yeah.
And that's actually perfect because that's leading into my next thing. It's bodybuilding is painful. Bodybuilding is hard. People say stuff like, man, I'm lucky enough to not have knee problems, but you're inevitably going to have knee problems. You're maybe not knee problems, but you're going to get the aches. Your elbows are going to be painful. Your shoulders. You're doing something that humans don't do. You're lifting a shitload of weight every day and trying to make the workouts harder every time. The aches and pains and all that shit's going to be there. And knowing the difference between actual pain and an injury and I'm fucking sore and I did the right thing before and that's it. Because I think a lot of people are just like, I don't want to have problems. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And it's all about finding the training that works right for you and just knowing that it's like being an MMA fighter. Oh, I don't want to get knocked out. Well, you could train as hard as possible and you might never get clipped. You might be the best fighter ever and you're the best. But you should go into that knowing that fucking stuff's going to happen. Yeah, you're going to get some cauliflower. You're going to get hit. You might lose some teeth. But if you go in there thinking I'm going to be a fighter and those things that I don't like aren't going to be there, you just got to expect that shit. You know what I mean? That's the mindset going into training now. Training is going to be key in bodybuilding because when you think powerlifting, Olympic lifting, it's multiple muscles to get a movement taken care of, right? I want everything. I want my freaking toes to work to get the most bench press up. You know what I mean? Everything's working to move the most amount of weight. But in regards to bodybuilding, it's just there's so many different ways to achieve muscle stimulation than just a shitload of weight. And I think somewhere along the line, Tom Platz even did a little YouTube video on it back in the day. I should try to find it. It's blurry and shit. But he's somewhere along the lines, somewhere in the late 80s, 90s, there's too many guys who started thinking, I'm a massive guy. I should probably lift massive amounts of weight. And before you know it, the close stance that the bodybuilders did in the 80s started getting wider so they can get their hammies and glutes involved, and they're doing a lot more weight. Because if you see a dude who's looks like Ronnie Coleman, and he ain't lifting more than 2 plates, you're like, it looks weird, right? That's a big fucking dude to be warming up. Oh, he's done? That's weird. And I think a lot of people wanted to start making the strength go with it. But when you're training for just bodybuilding, you're not focusing on your strength. So you can't really get that. You can get muscles bigger and you will get stronger. But I don't think you're ever you can't achieve that maximum strength unless you dive into each category. I'm not going to be a great CrossFitter unless I chill on bodybuilding and CrossFit. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people, if you just break that down, work on your form and do it properly, train bodybuilding ways, hey, you can stimulate and get growth through the pump and the lactic acid buildup. That stimulates muscle growth. People think that it's just heavy weight. I've had more injuries when I train heavy. Absolutely. And I've had more progress training light. You know what I mean? So I want people, if you're a strong person, train strong. And that's how you've seen the progress. That's probably my biggest thing. If you're seeing progress, do it. Continue doing that, right? But if you are sitting there thinking out of the 3 things that I've talked about, one of those is slightly off, that could be the only reason you're not seeing progress. Go a little lighter. You don't need 3 plates on the calf raise and just bounce that shit. Do 1 plate and do a full range of motion and then see how more painful that is. Don't try to rush through your workout. Make each set as hard as possible. And then before you know it, you'll be obsessed with bodybuilding because you're actually seeing the results.
Right.
People would love training legs if their legs were fucking crazy. Right?
Yep.
Imagine if your legs were so gnarly and every time you went in to train legs, everyone was just like, God, I just gotta watch this fucking dude. They're crazy. You'd probably be so amped up off of everybody's appreciation and like, what would it be called? Like admiration that you would just be stoked. But you don't start with crazy legs. Right. You don't start with any of that. Most people, when they're lean as even a kid and not lifting, they have a 6-pack. Right. So they focus on all the shit that's not hard. And then you make that a pain in the ass for the rest of your life. But if you can get in it and just know that, dude, if I'm here, I might as well just make this as hard as possible. Yeah. And then it doesn't take long for you to see results. You know that. Hell yeah. You know, people are like, oh, 6 months, I'm just not seeing it. Dude, I trained my neck really hard for probably a month and a half. And it immediately started seeing progress. It's because you do it, like if you don't train something and then you finally do it, you're going to start seeing that result pretty quick, you know? It's like when you don't diet and then you track and your weight starts going down. Whoa. It's like, well, no, you could have always done that and now you got it. Yeah. You know?
Well, and I think it's also ignorance, right? Like from having a gym and having so many people come in.
Yep.
So many people genuinely believe that they're doing everything. I'm doing the training. I'm eating the right way. I'm doing X, Y, and Z, but I'm not seeing results. And it's so hard to not be like, bullshit. Yeah. Bullshit. Yeah. Somewhere along here, otherwise we need to go to a doctor, right? But like somewhere along here, something's bullshit. Yeah. So yeah, I think that.
And it sucks because and it's hard because like, if you've ever coached people, like do you ever do people's diet and stuff like that?
No, not me on that.
So so the reason why we stopped doing it, first of all, like any of the certifications that I had lapsed. My bad. But when we would do that kind of stuff, you know, a lot of the people would sit there and they would compare their diet or their results. And it's just like, look, I'm not trying to say you're lying. I know for a fact you didn't do that. Right. I know you didn't do that. You didn't, because scientifically you should drop. Yeah. And then you have that kind of heart to heart. And then before you know it, they are doing something wrong. Right. Yeah, you know what? My workouts, I was doing a lot less. I should have done more. And then, you know, like your diet might be on point, but are you doing a lot less on your workouts because you think you're more tired? There's so much to it. Like when we get in here and train, like, dude, I'll get on like a squat and I'll overthink, like, if you're doing 10 reps of a squat and your form is perfect on reps 1 through 3, but then reps 4 through 10, your back caves a majority of the time, your quads aren't doing all the work on reps 4 through 10. Yeah. So you got 3 fucking banging sets in on quads. Then your back started taking over on the rest of your squats, regardless of you hitting depth. A secondary muscle came in to take over, and you just think you murdered 10 reps of squats, but you got 3. Right. And then the rest was 50% was taken over by your low back. And I think that people do that shit all the time. Stay in your fucking form. Yeah. You shouldn't be bench pressing and then doing all the weird shit to get 10 more. It's like, no, you stay. And then when that starts failing, it's just, that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah, that's it. And I think, but you know how it is. The longer you're in this, like that's stuff that I started thinking about more and more last year. Right. You know what I mean? And I've been doing this for 18 years. So maybe that's probably the biggest thing. Be overly critical in a good way about yourself. You don't want to sit there and have all your friends and family and your girlfriend telling you you're so lean. You're the leanest person ever. Are you? Right. Or does your girlfriend want you to not cry? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, let's be fucking real. And being real with yourself and understanding where your flaws are. Do the same thing. I did that post the other day about me fucking up on my diet, coming from a dude who's done it for a while. And then you'll finally get past all the shit. Finally see the result that you want.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sue. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Yep, we're gonna start drinking now, right?
Now it's time to drink,
That's how we do it.
and work out.
Let's do it.
We're all we all get our own bottle.
Let's go.
So I got proper 12.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
I really do appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you.
I'm gonna go pee because I'm gonna pee my pants.